The wallet lay half-hidden near the curb, right where the evening traffic slowed and the city lights began to glow, and she almost missed it as she hurried home after another exhausting shift, her shoes worn thin, her shoulders aching, her mind heavy with unpaid bills and unspoken prayers. But something made her stop, maybe conscience, maybe habit, maybe the quiet voice inside her that refused to let the world harden her heart, and when she picked it up, she realized immediately it wasn't ordinary, the leather soft and expensive, the stitching perfect, the weight heavier than expected, and when she opened it, she saw neatly stacked cash, credit cards, and an ID that belonged to a man she had never met, a man whose face looked calm and confident, worlds away from her own daily struggle, and for a brief, dangerous second, temptation whispered to her, reminding her how that money could ease her life, how no one was watching, how fate itself seemed to be offering her a shortcut. But she closed the wallet just as quickly, her fingers trembling, because she knew that taking even a single bill would cost her something far greater than money, and so she stood there on the sidewalk, city noise rushing past her like a river, and decided she would return it, every last penny, no matter what it took. Finding the address took time, buses, and borrowed phone charges, but she didn't complain, and when she finally reached the sleek building listed on the ID, she felt out of place among the glass and steel, her reflection looking smaller and poorer with every step, yet she pressed the buzzer anyway, ready to leave the wallet with security if needed, until the door opened and the man from the ID stood there in real life, younger than she expected, dressed sharply, surprise flickering across his face as she explained why she was there, and when she handed him the wallet unopened, his eyes dropped to it and then back to her, searching, almost suspicious, as if he was waiting for the catch, the request, the subtle hint for a reward, but she simply smiled and said she was glad she found him, that losing something important can ruin a day, and she turned to leave before the moment could become awkward. He stopped her, of course, people like him always did, asking her to wait, insisting there must be something he could do, but she shook her head, explaining that she didn't do it for money, that she just did what felt right, and that was when something shifted in him. Something money couldn't buy, because he wasn't just a wealthy businessman used to transactions and returns, he was a man who had grown up learning that everything had a price, and here was someone who proved him wrong, and as she walked back into the night, unaware that he was a young millionaire whose world ran on numbers, influence, and control, she also didn't know that this single act of honesty had already changed the course of both their lives. He stood there longer than necessary, wallet still in his hand, replaying her words, her calm refusal, her quiet dignity, realizing that despite all his success, no deal he'd ever closed felt as valuable as what she had just given him for free, and in the days that followed, he couldn't forget her, not because she was poor, not because she impressed him, but because she reminded him of who he used to be before ambition buried simplicity, and fate, always watching, began to weave their paths together again in subtle ways, proving that sometimes the smallest choices echo the loudest, and that integrity, when practiced in silence, has a way of being rewarded far beyond imagination. If this story touched your heart, if you believe honesty still matters in a world obsessed with shortcuts, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay with us, because stories like this don't just entertain, they remind us who we are, and the next one might change the way you see life forever.